I hate to take it, but I've actually been doing some work now, going back to the roots of economic thinking. So I've been rereading Adam Smith, and there's a great book called The Authentic Adam Smith. And so I've been doing some research into traditional economics and environmental economics. And the work going on now in economics, there's a great issue in the Scientific American, that questions those assumptions of traditional economics. It's interesting to recognize that Adam Smith used the phrase, the invisible hand, only in about 3 to 4 places. And in none of them did imply the invisible hand of the market. We sort of take it for granted that invisible hand meant market forces. But in reality, that was not what he meant. So he actually, before The Wealth of Nations, he wrote about the moral imperatives of activities and so on. So I think we've sort of forgotten our history. We've forgotten the history of the Industrial Revolution. We forgot the history of how capitalism came up. And in the last 50 years, we've been entrenched in this view. And this will change. This is already changing. So I can see a conversation like this 20, 30 years from now being very different. We will take for granted the notion of shared value creation and wonder why we ever thought in terms of exclusive financial competitive advantage. Just as, well, I am sorry that I think we've had a fascinating discussion, and I think we are now waiting for the next step. Charles? But before, let me thank the panelists for this great conversation. I hope we ended up with some interesting insights and views into what works, what doesn't work, mindsets and models, and we'll pick this up in hopefully London.
Thank you very much indeed, Ram, and thank you very much for an excellent panel. I think at the end of a conference like this, at the end of 2 days, I think we're all pretty exhausted, so I'll be brief. Possibly everything has been said, but if not quite by everyone. The first thing and the most important thing to say, of course, is to say a very, very big thank you to the sponsors of this meeting, to the government of Indonesia, and to Global Initiatives, who, of course, have been organizing much of this. And, of course, thanks to you, the participants. It's your conversations, after all. It's you that this meeting is for. It's one of the frustrations I have in my role here is that I have to sort of skim over lots of different conversations. But every conversation I have had, I've found fascinating, I've found thought-provoking, and I've left that conversation wanting to have much longer conversations. Perhaps we'll have time for those now. So first of all, could we please thank the sponsors, thank the government, and thank Global Initiatives and Tony Gourlay in particular. So please join me in thanking them. And then just finally, I really hope that you, the participants, have found this meeting useful, that it's built awareness, that it's built relationships, that it's built partnerships, that you've learned about business innovation, that you've learned about what your competitors are doing, and perhaps wondered why you're not doing it, and perhaps why you're not doing it with them. As we heard in the last session, there are lots and lots and lots of opportunities for collaboration, for co-innovation, not only with your competitors, but also with other companies in your value chain, and indeed with your consumers. So a few final thoughts. First of all, don't make the perfect the enemy of the good. Second, engage with behavioral change. Governments and businesses can't always dictate the terms, but they can certainly help nudge society much more quickly to transformational change than what's happening now, because what we're doing now, we have to admit, is just not good enough. I look forward to a day when sustainability is just good business. It's just what you do. I look forward to a day when that's the business norm, but it's also the social norm. We need to understand the complexity of challenges, sure, but when it comes down to it, it's actually quite simple. It's about incentives, it's about interests, and if we always keep in mind those two terms, I think we can find policies and be more innovative about policies. We need to make sustainability a tool of economic development for countries and for individuals, and make it understood as a tool of poverty alleviation. Finally, Indonesia really has a chance to lead here, and the world is watching. Hiro said earlier that we should let Indonesia be an example of good forestry management in the future. Well, so be it. The gauntlet has been laid down, and the world will be watching what happens in Indonesia now, and that is a tremendous opportunity. Graham, on the penultimate session, spoke about social norms, but there is also such a thing as international social norms. And Indonesia has a great opportunity, you have a great opportunity now to shape that. So please take that opportunity, because we all need that very much. So thank you to you all, and thank you very much for this final panel.